Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. This campaign is it's getting too ridiculous to even cover, isn't it, Bob? You just retweet things he said. Trump claims while he was president, foreign countries wouldn't fight each other without his permission. I mean, I hope it is a dwindling number of people that believe this obvious liar. You said, Aaron Rupert tweeted, Trump attacks legal Haitian migrants in Springfield, prompting send them back chants from his fans in Pennsylvania. And David Corn, you retweeted, said, this is a fascistic move reminiscent of Orwell's 2 Minutes of Hate, and the GOP is just fine with it. Deplorable. I mentioned it, Bob, as another moment that made the hair on my neck stand up. These send them back chants that just were like, whoa. Nazi.
Well, he also said at his Pennsylvania rally, Indiana, Pennsylvania, he talked about how if you criticize the Supreme Court, you should be sent to prison.
Yes.
Straight up. There's no qualifier, no setup, no context. Just, if you criticize these Supreme Court justices, you should go to prison. This is what he said. And yet there are people who are like, I'm leaning toward Donald Trump because Kamala Harris hasn't clearly defined the difference or her policy on reapportionment versus redistricting. This is the kind of nonsense that cable news and the New York Times op-ed pages are giving us. They're giving undecided voters the idea that they can vote for Donald Trump because of some minor nitpicky thing where in the grand scheme, in this fight, this existential fight for democracy, they are prioritizing whether Kamala Harris has made a statement about this policy or that policy.
And by the way,
are you serious?
She wants to debate again, and 64% of Americans want to see Harris and Trump debate again, according to a Quinnipiac poll just released yesterday. I mean, it's so clear he's terrified of her and knows he got his ass kicked because I don't know who's buying that it's too late to have a debate when he had the last two in October at exactly the same time, right?
Right. And see, that's one of the many, many things that we lose in the fire hose of news is that Donald Trump is the most deluded human being on the planet. He is like every Christopher Guest movie character combined into one. He is so delusional. He believes that he's going to solve all these problems, give everyone jetpacks made of beef. And he also said that because of the debate, because he won the debate, why would he want a rematch? He did so well in the first one. Winners don't ever ask for a rematch. It's always the losers who want a rematch. This is how he's deluded himself into thinking that he has won.
He's so Black Knight. Come back, you coward. It's only a flesh wound.
It's only a flesh wound.
That's exactly right. He might be going to Broadway. I just think of Waiting for Guffman.
There you go.
I buy all my wife's pantsuits.
Yes, so you have them.
Just finally on the polling, you retweeted Greg Sargent, who said, to those freaking out about the New York Times poll, its finding of Trump +2 in North Carolina is in sync with polling averages showing a tie there. Guess what? That's actually bad news for Trump since he absolutely must win there. Arizona and Georgia news is a downer, but overall these polls aren't grounds for panic. And you said, and all this was before the Mark Robinson implosion. Come on, people. The numbers overall actually look quite good for Dems. There is zero sense in spiraling every time New York Times Sienna says boo. Take the numbers seriously, yes, but that means throwing them in with the averages, which is what I think we were saying Simon Rosenberg says. I'm going to go with Christopher Boozy, who says Harris is going to win North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida.
Yes. I strongly encourage you to take a look at Christopher Boozy's map. It's optimistic, but I think it's grounded in reality. I think it's grounded. He's talked to people literally on the ground who are, in precincts at that level and acquiring his forecast based on that. So, but yeah, I mean, I really agree with Greg's point that he made in those tweets. But at the same time, I'm at that stage in the election and following Donald Trump and everything, going, how could he possibly be still polling this well? Yeah. Even though Kamala Harris is winning, and I'm confident in that. But at the same time, it's like, talk about deluded people, the people who are supporting Donald Trump in spite of all the things. I mean, the insurrection alone should have disqualified him at the outset, never could show his face again in the American public or in American pop culture or especially American politics because of that alone.
Well,
and yet here he is.
I mean,
such a signal of a problem that we have here.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, what else do we need? But I mean, Jack Smith's filing, is apparently this mini trial that we might be able to see before the election. Oh, Jody Hamilton's crossing her fingers. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know exactly. You're like, what else does he need to say? It's just like some mass psychological experiment, and what you would have to do to lose an election in America, right?
We just have lost sight of what our priorities are in terms of character, values, things that are important when it comes to electing a chief executive, especially in extraordinarily difficult times when Russia has invaded Ukraine. And we know that Donald Trump is going to just give Ukraine to Vladimir Putin as a housewarming gift. I don't know what, but then he's going to allow Putin to invade other European nations after that. I mean, it's going to be a disaster. And we've deluded ourselves into thinking, well, that's okay because of bacon is $3 and because Kamala Harris didn't define what her policy is on, third fiscal year continuing resolution, policy. It's just ridiculousness happening now. And I wish cable news would stop it. I wish CNN would stop doing this and treat this election as the existential crisis that it actually is.
Thank you.
With 5 points between democracy and fascism.
Yep. You know what you could do, Bob? You know what you could do for America? You can offer your picture as a side-by-side with J.D. Vance, what men should look like with facial hair and what men should not look like with facial hair. Talking bearded clam, J.D. Vance.
Bob has a strong jawline.
Yes.
J.D. Vance does not.
Yeah, Jethro Tull does not.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We love you, Bob.
Thank you very much.
And we mean that in a clean and a dirty way. Okay.
There's no denying it, the vibes are really good right now. But vibes alone won't save our democracy. We need votes. At the Grassroots Democrats HQ, we know what it takes to win elections. Knocking doors, making calls, sending texts, and writing postcards. If we're going to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and give them the Democratic Congress to pass their agenda, then we need to roll up our sleeves and talk to a record number of voters between now and November 5th. But let's be clear, we can't do it without you. So, are you ready to work? This is a fight for freedom and our future, and everything is at stake. Don't wake up on November 6th wishing you had done more. Join us. Go to grassrootsdems.org today to sign up to volunteer, and let's go win this thing.